Alright guys, back at it here again in this Sabbath review series, and we're at an entirely new decade, an entirely new era. Of course, we're talking about the 80s. Ronnie James Dio has joined Black Sabbath. Ozzy has left. For the time being, of course, he'll end up joining, for a quick little reunion type tour thing in like 99. Then he, ended up making a whole album with them in 2013. But for the time being, we're going to go through a lot of singers just, throughout this decade. And then, the 90s kind of remains the same for the most part there. But we open it up with this right here, the 80s. And man, oh man. I actually came prepared this time because this is another situation here. There's a pic of the guys on the back. This is a situation where the track listing is completely out of order on the back. And I really don't know why. Some albums are like that. If somebody knows, I'd love for someone to tell me, because it's just kind of weird. So I got the record right here that I'm holding to kind of read off of. But yeah, this is another kind of a beat up copy I got here. But I mean, hey, the record plays perfect all the way through. And, it's got kind of some worn edges and stuff. I love the album cover of the angels smoking cigarettes and all. Really iconic look. One of the band's coolest album covers, if you ask me. But yeah, it was $15, so with a record that's in great shape, and then this just a little bit beat up, it ain't too bad. Just got to keep this sleeve here to protect it. But anyways, we hop into this thing with the opening track, Neon Nights. And man, oh man, that's just a blast of heavy metal to the face. There's an instant tone change, and this is, if you're just going in order here, this is unlike any of the previous material as far as heaviness goes and speed of Iommi's playing. He does some of his shreddiest stuff to date, if you ask me, on this album right here. And Neon Nights is like the perfect album opener, just blasts you right into the damn thing. Just incredible opening. Then we get to track number 2. Oh man, that's probably my favorite off here. If there's like 3 of them that are like my top favorites, and that this is one of them. Children of the Sea. And you open up with this kind of acoustic kind of thing going on with Ronnie James Dio's just beautiful, really pretty soft vocals. And if you guys have been following the channel for a while, or if you haven't seen these yet, I've reviewed the entire Dio discography and ranked all the albums. So, if that tells you how big of a fan of Ronnie James Dio and Dio, anything he touches in general, there it is. I'm a huge fan of Dio, so, hearing his voice on Sabbath is just a welcome change to me. But, yeah, Children of the Sea, you get that kind of pretty opening, and then, bam, the riff kicks in, the riff master, the riff lord, Tony Iommi, just freaking blasts it in with one of his just coolest riffs, if you ask me. And, you get a really cool, hooky chorus, and again, just an incredible dynamic range of Dio shining on throughout the song, and then back to the pretty part. And that's just a piece of art, is this track right here. Children of the Sea is top tier stuff. Absolutely love it. Then we get track number 3, kind of got a cool little bass groove from Geezer Butler going on. Lady Evil. I love the groove this one's got going on. If anything is reminiscent of, the previous material, I would say Lady Evil is the kind of bluesiness. My dad, as before, has said the big difference between the Dio Sabbath and the Ozzy Sabbath is both are heavy metal, of course, but the Ozzy era stuff is a little bit bluesier, or quite a bit bluesier than the Dio stuff, is more just straight up heavy metal. Not that the Ozzy stuff isn't. Hell, it was like inventing heavy metal. And it is straight up heavy metal, but they just have more of a blues influence and a bluesy sound to them. But yeah, Lady Evil does kind of have that a little bit going on, especially with that bass groove. Solid track. Love Lady Evil. Then we get to the iconic, the big one off here. Another one of my top ones. Track number 4, the title track, Heaven and Hell. Man, you want to talk about epic? Holy hell. You get just this monstrous riff coming through, and then just the beautiful bass line going and bass groove going, from Geezer Butler. And then, again, Ronnie's vocals just shining through the darkness of this track. and then the epic chorus, and there's several time changes all over here. One of my favorite Tony Iommi solos during this track. That usually, if people know anything off this album, it is the title track, and for damn good reason. Man, it's a masterpiece. That track is a masterpiece. It takes you. It pretty much just like taking you on a journey from, you know, heaven and hell, and so it does what it says. So absolutely love that song. All right, then we flip on over to side 2 and go with Wishing Well. Another really solid track. You know, again, there's not really any filler. I'd maybe say one of them is kind of filler on here, but we'll get to that. But this, you know, you open up side 2 with one that's solid. I love Wishing Well. I love the chorus. Really, really melodic pre-chorus going on. So Wishing Well is another solid one. Really underrated track off here. Then here's that other of those big 3 that just, man, Die Young. That also might be, I mean, it's one of my favorites off here. Might be my favorite. Die Young just has this kind of crazy sounding opening going on. And then, you know, you get just kind of, you know, just kind of the, not to slight it, but like your formulaic, you know, kind of track they've been doing here so far with the heavy metal, fast-paced stuff. And then, bam, you go into this just acoustic thing with some of the prettiest vocals you'll ever hear out of anybody from Ronnie James Dio. And that really is the beauty of his voice. If you've listened to, you know, Rainbow, his band Dio, anything he's been in, you know, Elf, or of course Black Sabbath, you know, he can just, on a dime, go from that just heavy power voice to just this soft, angelic voice. And it's demonstrated right here in this song. Then you get this really cool kind of creepy keyboard, kind of like a mystic sound to it. And then we're right back into heaviness. And the ending of this, man, where we get, you know, this whole, it's just like Dio and the guys just singing like Die Young. Like, man, absolutely love it. That's one of my favorite songs by these guys, period. So some of those other 2 I've already talked about. Just some of my favorite Sabbath songs of all time. Then we get to the one that, it's kind of filler for me. I mean, it's not a bad song. Like I kind of clarified in my last video, filler doesn't mean a bad song. It just means one that kind of, you know, you kind of forget about it from time to time, and it doesn't stand out amongst the others as much. And Walk Away is one of those. It's good, you know. It's got its little spot in the album, but it's not one that I go back to often or anything like that. But it's a decent little track. Then we end it with Lonely Is the Word, and damn, what an ending to this epic masterpiece of an album. These guys have already, I mean, I'm not sure the exact number right off the top of my head, but Sabbath from, you know, 1970 all the way through 1980 have already had several just epic masterpiece albums, and that should tell you. And man, oh man, you know, we've got plenty more of these albums to go. And, you know, we got through a whole damn decade, and that could have been a whole discography in of itself. But no, we got the 80s to go through, the 90s stuff, and of course the big 2013 one. And and then in the ranking video, I'll kind of talk about, kind of skim over, you know, the tracks that were on the bonus tracks on the Reunion live album, and then, you know, like the bonus tracks on the EP. But yeah, this, and even the bonus tracks on 13, I'll kind of talk about those actually in the 13 album review once we get there. That's way later on. But yeah, I'm just super hyped to be jumping into this next era of Sabbath. I love this stuff. Man, it's going to be some tough stuff to rank, because considering how many eras there are of Sabbath, how many different lineup changes they've gone through, you know. But I'll break down and do it. We've got great stuff all over the board so far, pretty much. So, and, you know, speaking of lineup changes, we just had Ronnie James Dio join, and we're already going to lose a member, Bill Ward. This was his last album with the band. So, and I don't think he was on any others at all. You know, there was a whole thing where he almost was going to be on 13, but kind of fell through. But next time, we get Dio's good buddy who followed him to his band, Dio, Vinny Appice. So we'll get to hear kind of a different drum sound, because Bill Ward has been banging it, you know, all through this entire decade up until here. So that'd be kind of exciting to listen to on our next album review, Mob Rules. Really hyped to be looking into that one too. That was one of the one of my first, I think this one and the first Sabbath album, and then Mob Rules are like my first 3 Sabbath albums I owned on vinyl. So it's pretty cool. I have some sentimental value to really all 3 of those. And really just all the ones we've covered for the most part too. But anyways, guys, yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I know some people, maybe just now, like I was talking in the comments, you know, some people are just now jumping into the stuff past the 70s. You know, just keep an open mind to it. You know, most people really do love this album. Even the people who are, you know, mainly 70s Ozzy fans, 70s Ozzy era Sabbath fans. They do respect and appreciate this album. So I am curious as to what everybody else thinks about this thing. I think it's a freaking masterpiece, as you know. And again, next time we'll be checking out Mob Rules, so stay tuned for that, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, and thanks.